I got an EJ207 and an STI 6-speed in the back of my car right now.
This is my little SubaruONLY shop. It's a DIY Subaru channel. It's a channel where all I do is Subaru builds and race Subaru vehicles in motorsport events. It's a DIY themed channel where I walk you guys through the steps to get your Subarus back on the road and hopefully do a little racing of your own.
So thanks for checking out the video, guys. I really appreciate it. It's actually a version 7 EJ207, which is a fully forged rotating assembly, forged pistons and everything. And it's in the back of my car right now. And I'll tell you guys right now, it was a hell of a process to get this sucker in the back of my car. Check it out. Yep, that's what you're looking at, guys. That's a STI 6-speed trans. And that, my friends, is a JDM STI version 7 EJ207 engine. Packed in here tight in my little Forester XT. The entire engine tranny, and man, those suckers are big, man, those suckers are heavy, and they are seriously compressing the rear suspension of this car. Check this out as I kind of step back. You can kind of see. That's what my Forester looks like with an STI engine and tranny in it. And honestly, guys, I have no idea how I'm gonna get this sucker out of it when I get home. So one more thing I forgot to add, I actually brought my air compressor. Yeah, that's it right there, guys. And I brought my leak tester, and I actually did a leak down test on this engine as well. And this engine has good compression in all cylinders, good leak down. A couple cylinders had a little bit high leak down, like 15-20% in one of the cylinders, but I think that's because it's just been sitting there and the exhaust valve has got a little bit of gunk in it. For the most part, this engine had really good compression and looks like it's definitely a low mileage JDM engine. Everything looks legit, and I actually have paperwork and everything, so I'm pretty stoked on this engine, guys. And this engine tranny combo is definitely the long-term goal that I've had for my blue 98 RS for years now. All right, guys, and I am back, and this thing is going to be legit in my 98 RS. But the first thing I need to do is get this thing out of my car, and frankly, guys, I have no idea how in the hell I'm going to get this thing out of my car. Check this out. This is what it's looking like. So if I step back, guys, it's kind of hard to see in the camera, but this thing is really sagging in the back. The rear suspension is basically completely compressed. And that is because it's weighed down with this bad boy. Let's see if we can get this cardboard out of here. Got an engine hoist. That might be the key ticket to use to get this sucker out. And that, guys, is the EJ207. It's a 2002 to 2003 JDM STI engine with a 6-speed manual transmission. This is also a version 7 EJ207, which means this engine has fully forged internals, forged pistons, guys. From what I understand, it's one of the only EJ207s that came with fully forged pistons. So I'm super stoked. And I'll kind of push the camera in here so you can see that you got the 6-speed in there as well. So you can certainly fit a 6-speed and a full engine, full on block, complete engine in the back of your Forester, guys. But how the hell am I gonna get it out? That's the question. So I'm gonna try to get that engine hoist in here. I got an engine hoist right here. I'm gonna see if I can get that arm up and maybe get that engine hoist in here, get that arm in here above the engine, and then strap the hoist arm to this engine really tightly. See if I can lift it up just an inch or two. But it's gonna be close. I mean, I had forklifts with extended little arms on the forklifts to get this engine all the way in this cabin and then drop it down. And even then with the forklifts and it being super tight, it was a bitch. So man, I have no idea how we're gonna do this. Stay tuned. All right, this is the setup. Basically the jack, or the engine hoist right here, basically the height of the engine hoist is actually about the perfect height for the top of the cabin here for my Forester. So that's a good thing at first, because you really can't adjust this end of the hoist, right? This is a fixed side. Well, maybe I could take the wheels off or add bigger wheels or put jacks underneath it or put like flat boards underneath it to raise it up or lower it in that way. But basically, this is a fixed side. So it's nice and convenient. This side is pretty close to the height, the top height of that elevation. As we move in here, this thing is extended fully, and I'll kind of go around the other side. You can see where I have it tied in. I'm tying it basically to the back of the engine, kind of right where the standard engine lift point is on the Subaru engines. But I'm thinking I might only have to tighten right there. Let me go ahead and swing around to the other side so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. Okay, 6-speed, big ass 6-speed. You can always tell a 6-speed with this extra center section right here. It's got that oiling right there. Basically, that's what makes these 6-speeds really durable and reliable, is they actually have extra oiling in them in the gear sets that the normal 5-speeds don't have. Okay, moving on. So engine hoist, you can kind of see where I engine hoist, I have the chain right here, chain's coming down to a little link, and I'm basically going in right in here. It's kind of hard to see from that side, right here. Standard engine lift point, engine mount point for lifting an engine out of your car, right here by the turbo, same bracket right there. And I'm thinking, because the engine's on the front of that point and the transmission's on the back of that point, that might be pretty close to the center of mass for this whole combo right here. And if you can actually get to the center of mass for everything, you can lift it straight up from one point. You can actually lift it from multiple points, right? So let's see if this works. I have no idea, guys. I've never done this before, and this might be a complete failure. Let's see. I'll put it back on the time lapse. Well, that wasn't near as hard as I thought it was going to be. Holy mackerel, guys. It's just a little bit of tugging and pulling, and this sucker slowly just came on out. No problem at all. So for those of you guys who have ever wondered if you can pull a manual transmission attached to a 4-cylinder engine out of the back of your Forester, I think I just proved that it's definitely possible, guys. It really wasn't all that hard. So this is my new EJ207 version 7, 2002 through 2003 with a JDM STI transmission, which is a close ratio transmission, which is great for motorsports and higher RPM engine. And that is exactly the type of engine I'm hoping to turn this version 7 into. I am stoked. So the next thing I'm going to do with this engine, and the thing I'm really looking forward to doing, is actually giving it a nice thorough cleaning and kind of getting all the debris and oil and grease and actually a bunch of metal shavings when they kind of cut this sucker out. I noticed in the back there's a few of those metal shavings. So basically I want to get everything kind of cleaned up on this engine. But before I actually let any water get on this or any cleaning agent get on this engine, you definitely want to cap off all your exposed lines. So there's a bunch of different exposed lines here I'm going to cap off. There's also some miscellaneous things I'm going to take off, like that wiring right there for the starter and some other little bits and pieces. So strip off a couple of things you don't need, cap off everything that's exposed line or exposed port, and then I'm going to soak this sucker down with a little bit of super clean, following the manufacturer's instructions, and I'm going to see how nice I can get this EJ207 looking with a little bit of elbow grease and a little bit of cleaning. All right, guys, busting out the super clean. Let's see how good this stuff works on an old greasy engine that's been sitting probably for years. Basically, instructions say apply it to a cool, dry surface and then rinse it off thoroughly with clean water. So that's the plan. Spray stuff on clean, dry surface, and then I'm gonna not let it dry, and then I'll rinse it with cool hose water. Now, as you can see, I got a lot of plugs on everything, so I'm not gonna have anything getting any ports I don't want. That's basically the plan. Even the compressor's got a little port right there, and the AC compressor is plugged. And basically for the throttle body, I got a little microfiber rag in there. And all the ports are basically sealed up on this thing. And then basically after I rinse this off with the water, I'm going to get my air compressor, and I'll use a little compressed air to completely dry the sucker off. And then after I dry the sucker off with the compressed air, I'm actually going to apply a little bit of WD-40 to a bunch of areas. That way I got a little bit of protection from rust on this thing, which I think is always a good idea. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm going to let it sit in there and soak for just a few minutes, and then hose this stuff off, maybe give it a little scrub, and we'll go from there. Okay, now when it comes to using this water, you want to use it real sparingly. That's one of the things I've realized over the years is that you don't really want a lot of water on metal surfaces. All that water does is really promote rust. So get that water on just to rinse everything off, because I added some chemicals here. But as soon as you can, basically you want to dry all this water off. You want to get all this water off. You want to use as little water as possible. And then, like I said earlier, I'm going to use a little air compressor and then blow dry everything dry. Because overall, water is basically something you just want to keep the hell off all your metal parts. All it does is add rust. All right, I'm gonna rinse this sucker off and we'll see how this thing looks after. It's looking pretty good so far, gotta say. This sucker is looking good. It's been a great day. I actually woke up this morning not expecting to find EJ207, and by the end of the day, you're looking at a new EJ207 and a 6-speed close ratio trans. It'll be going in my blue RS. Pretty stoked. So I guess I'm gonna wrap it up there for today, guys. This has been my EJ207 purchase day and cleaning day. I'm super stoked on this thing, and this sucker is definitely gonna be going in my 1998 RS. This one is a version 7 EJ207 from 2002 through 2003. And for those of you guys out there who are experts in these EJ207s, please go ahead and give me advice, give me some pointers, give me any kind of expert tips you guys can give me as far as getting this sucker prepped and installed in my 1998 RS. Thanks a lot for checking out the video, guys. My name's Luke. You guys are watching the SubaruONLY channel. And until next time, guys, later. Alright, time lapse is good. Wait, is that time lapse? No, that's video. No, captured the debauchery in full audio.